A very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Bedford for an under-19 international fixture between England and Italy. It is a rare occurrence that we get to see the under-19s on our screens. Once the A-grade international team of choice, but since those days it's all about the under-20s. So somewhat of a bridge between the under-18s and the under-20s these days, but we are in familiar territory, at least for an England-Italy fixture. First fixture between England and Italy took place in Bedford back in 2001, and some of the names from that team sheet make interesting reading even now. Josh Lucy, David Flatman, Steve Borthwick and Andy Goode ran out for England that day in England's victory over the Italians. Two more victories for England on Bedford soil against Italy have continued since then, at under-20s level and at women's international level as well. The reason being there is a strong connection to Bedford soil here for Italy, because it goes back to the 1950s and the 1960s when the biggest brickworks in the world was based here in Bedford, the Marston Valley Brick Company, and they brought over thousands of Italian men from the south of Italy to work in the brickworks and power that industrial powerhouse through for the next couple of decades. Since then, Italy has been an outpost for Italians coming over to England for the intervening years, and that is why there is such a strong connection here for this international fixture. But what there isn't such a connection for is under-19s rugby. We don't get to see it all that often, but we have someone alongside me today in former England Sevens captain Rob Vickerman, who also played for the England under-19s back when that was the form team, the team you went for, Rob. And just frame for us a little bit what it's like to be a teenager, firstly, pulling on an England shirt and representing your team in front of cameras as well, in front of a big crowd here in Bedford.
Well, how good is that to celebrate, Jack? You know, people will be here watching this next generation of players coming through, and it's a very special moment for the families and friends who are watching this online, or perhaps here in the ground here at Bedford. Who'd have thought also it wasn't just rugby you were going to get an education on today with that wonderful Italian history by Jack Zorab, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic insight. But you're right, there's a history here, and that's another thing they really want to play in front of. The fact that I spoke to Alan Dickens before the game, and he's really excited at the prospect of playing here. They're expecting a couple of thousand people, and it's teetering nicely. So you've got every single box tick for these young players. Opportunity is massive. Experience, huge. And atmosphere. That is exactly what these players, they train so hard to do. They commit their whole lives to it. Even as a teenager, you very much have that view and trajectory for where you want to get to, and any time you get to wear an England shirt, irrelevant of what level, is a very special thing.
Well, for those players, a special night tonight. Let's have a look at who's playing in which position for both Italy and England, but let's start with the hosts. Team captained by Tristan Woodman, and Woodman is donning the number 7 shirt. The back row features himself, Nathan Michelow of Saracens, who's already gained Premiership experience, and Zach Carr as well, former Dulwich College number 8 and on the books at Harlequins. In the second row, Joe Bailey and Harvey Cookson are in the second row. Exeter College and Ellesmere College represented with both Bailey and Cookson. Afolabi Fasogban, Craig Wright and Asher Apoku Forjur are in the front row for England. Fasogban, you may remember, scored a tap-and-go try. He was a replacement against Italy in the under-26 nations, and he went in from about 20 metres or so against the Italians back in February. To the backs, Ollie Allen is the Rams scrum half, who is partnering Sam Harris at fly half. In the centres, Sean Kerr, Whitgift and Toby Tain of Radley are the centres. Alex Wills, Ben Redshaw and Tobias Elliott. Now that is a back three to fear. Tobias Elliott scored 5 tries for England in the under-20s Six Nations earlier this year. So let's take a look now at the Italians. And this is how they line up. Again, Alessandro Di Stefano, Nicolas Gasparini and Marcos Gallerini in the front row. Gallerini, a formidable presence again in the under-20 Six Nations for Italy. Davide Salvan and Enrico Pontarini in the second row. Olma D'Alessandro, Andrea Toninelli and Jacopo Botturi in the back row. Botturi captains the side and is one of the many Calvisano players in this side. The halfbacks, Lorenzo Casilio and Simone Brixiella. And the Italians coming out onto the field now. Their team completed in the starters by Marco Scalabrin, Leonardo Sodo and Francesco Umberti, Fernandino Fossari and Lorenzo Nani. So here come England. So well supported wherever they travel. And under 19s, under 18s and under 20s with no fixed home. It's not a Twickenham venue, of course. So they go on the road and they receive warm welcomes wherever they go. And coming up to stand in front of the Bedford stand and receive the national anthems. Rob, how special a moment is this for some players? And many of these England players will have heard it before, of course, but still at this young age in their career.
Oh, it's always a special moment. You look across, you see all your teammates, the ones that you put the hard work in with already, to look across and really belt out your anthem. Used to be a case of who could sing the loudest at this age. Get impressionable. Obviously now saying King rather than Queen, but very, very exciting moment for them. And as ever, the passion encompassing an Italian anthem is something to behold, no matter what level. The fear is, you've got no idea when it's going to stop.
One anthem with a word that has changed in recent times, and another that hasn't since it was written back in the 19th century. L'inno di Mameli, a sway in the hips of those Italian players as they listen to that. Quite a few Italian flags in the crowd here, but of course England in their white strip, and so many fans and friends and family around supporting these boys as well. And it's set for quite an occasion.
Can't quite get the full spectrum here, but if the camera were panned out slightly, you'd see more people on the left of the screen than on the right. So really it's building to a nice atmosphere. They want to see some exciting, exuberant action. It's going to be wide type of game, very fast. These incredible athletes. I mean, hard to believe that some of these people here are schoolboys. They are physically very imposing. A little bit of time to work on skill sets, but clearly some of them still thinking about exams. So perhaps not as much fluency as other games, but hopefully we're going to see some attractive rugby in both teams.
Come on, England!
England's fly half tonight. Sam Harris will kick us off. He played all 5 under-20s internationals earlier this year. But at fly half today, a glimpse of what might be to come next season for England under-20s. Harris gets England underway. Italy's scrum half is Lorenzo Casilio. With the scrum hat on, and he's gone A long, long way up to halfway almost.
The Italian scrum half with scrum half, and we're going way back to what Troncon, thinking back in the day and him running around the pitch. That showed my age already though, isn't it? No references of parents allowed in this either. This is very much about these young players here making a name for themselves.
That look was trademarked by Troncon. It's never been better, but we'll see. Good crisp line out from England into Harris, and he'll use his midfield, but lovely hands along from Tristan Woodman. In the end to Sean Kerr. First rumble of the night for Craig Wright, former Felsted schoolboy on the books at Saints. Harris doesn't take that cleanly, so Italy might break upfield, and they do with Toninelli. Then they go with Casilio. England's defence regathers itself nicely. And now they look to let another shot in. That was on Alessandro Di Stefano. Well behind the game line, but can they make this work, Italy? A little half soft shoulder sort. Tackle coming in from Ollie Allen. Casilio, a crisp pass from the top, finds Brixiella. Now further along, the hooker joining the line, Gasparini. Italy keeping the ball here and stretching England from one side to the other, now breaking through the English line for the first time, into the 22. Marco Scalabrin, the Benetton player on the burst. England have to reset inside their 22 once more. Casilio, little show and go from Brixiella. Pace is slowed down for Italy after that initial thrust. Andrea Toninelli tries to turn the tide.
Is that what you're saying?
And they're lining up blue bodies. So they go through the middle where there's a little more space. Definite progress being made into English jerseys from Italy in the first penalty of the night.
Yeah, wonderful start from the Italians there. Lots of confidence, ball in hand, playing the ball nicely across the back line. I really like the look early doors of Simeone Brixiella, the number 10. There he is, ball in hand, obviously sporting the mullet. That's what they do nowadays, and I tell you what, he is looking every ounce of the composed play. He plays flat, he plays fast, taking it right into the English line, and a nice little line break from the Italians as well to start off with. Plenty of confidence. Alan Dickens has already cited their maul has been a real danger part of their game, so cracking start for the Italians so far.
Nicolas Gasparini doesn't find his man cleanly, but it's still Italian ball.
That was a little Milo. No, I should keep the pass easy, but that was dumb.
Pick and go to the left. England looks short-numbered on that blind side. Heavy, weighty English bodies behind the ball, waiting for the next wave as Italy go through with Di Stefano, loading up the Bash Street kids to have another go. 5 metres away are Italy, and very patient they are too, with an advantage now. Now Casilio puts a little more speed on things, and little breakthrough, offload is nice onto Imberti into the corner, but not quite finding the right man, so England marshalling that out of touch.
How about the offload there in the middle? Number 24, Patrick de Villiers, keeping that ball alive quite brilliantly with the flick out the back. That's what England have got to be wary about. When the Italians suck you in, they pick and go around the breakdown, plenty of space out wide, played up the slope, which I can guarantee you will hear a lot about in this pitch. You can just about see on the horizon of this pitch, it's round about a 2 or 3 metre drop to that bottom right or top corner, as you can see here. It is a mammoth of a hill here at Bedford. Those who play here often master the tactics, but it means that when you play, in this instance Italy playing right to left, they're going down the hill, so that little bit of propulsion is going to benefit them. They're going to go hard and straight here, and they have got ball runners aplenty in midfield.
Casilio feeds his scrum, and it's a solid one. Only one player on this open side for Italy, everyone else to the left of the scrum.
And Casilio, the number 9, decided to come right on that one. You can see 3 defenders opposing him. Logic would suggest here, if the ball does go to the Italian left-hand side, straight away, it's going to be a 4-on-3. Execute your hands here, and it's almost a walk-in. Strange tactics defensively from England.
And for England, there's Harris, there's Redshaw, and there's Tobias Elliott to the left. And there's just one Italian, Leonardo Sodo. What's in their mind, Italy? Well, it's a free kick. Casilio might want to go quickly.
Take it to the scrum.
We are sharing our gantry here with the Italian coaching team. And the word from the Italian coaches and Paolo Grassi alongside us is to go for the scrum.
Yeah, and any time the camera wobbles, that's the English coaching team stomping the ground from something that's not gone their way. You'll see that one. But again, similar setup. 3 English players defensively to their left. Italians with the ability to bring in the fullback in Berti from behind the scrum would leave a monumental overlap. You're basically saying to your fly half, you can pick one of 3 players, and if they hit space, they're walking in. This is quite bizarre.
I've got to wonder whether England have got hold of a tape of Italy playing against Wales in recent weeks and they know what's coming. Penalty is what's coming right now.
That was good again. I get it. I mean, these are always going to be the questions here. It's a developmental programme. These players are looking to come here to gain that experience of playing at international level at under-19s. Do you want to be taking 23 scrums back-to-back? No, you don't. However, this next decision might well mean it's a very different scenario and a potential yellow card issued right in front of the sticks. So you've got to be aware of that, and that's where these players are learning the understanding of the game. And tactically, right decision to take a scrum here.
It underlines the intention of the Italians, doesn't it? Not just to come here and try things out, but to come here and get one over the English, as they did at under 20 level last year for the first time.
I would not be happy defending this on the England right-hand side of the scrum. No way.
So here we go. Casilio might get the ball. It's his 8 who goes. Bottori makes a meter. Casilio goes back to the left. Now they line it up with Gasparini, and the hooker gets over. Italy find their Italian connection in Bedford early on.
I'll tell you what, there would have been serious words with forwards and backs aplenty in an analysis meeting if he did not score that one. It was a fantastic charge in the end, but there must have been about 4 players on this left-hand side. That's the tactic, sucking the England players to the right-hand side. They then decide to go back against the grain, so to speak. And look at this, 4 players on 2. Ball wasn't given, but that is strength personified from just 5 metres out. Always going to start a little bit of discussion here as to why the backs want the ball. That's why you fly off screaming for it. But that is poor defence, it must be said, from England. But it's great power from the Italians.
Nicolas Gasparini, the Stade Francais player, who's got this over here. Well, right from kickoff, Italy have controlled the ball and controlling the scoreboard at the moment. 5 points to 0. England down and without a chance to attack themselves. And Italy, of course, Rob, as well, doing it against the gradient of the hill here in Bedford.
Yeah, although I do think it might be a little more barbarian style here. You're not going to see as many kicks to the corner as you perhaps will from a championship game or other ones that feature here at Goldington Road. It's about wanting to play with the ball and get them going a bit wider. That's a lovely line.
Indeed, from Carr, the number 8 bares his teeth for the first time. There's De Villiers in that 24 jersey. Well, one attack from England, and Zach Carr makes a break through the heart of the Italian defence. Things not quite rolling from them. And Rob, I suppose a disjoint perhaps when you've got players coming up from under 18s and down from under 20s, as it were, to meet in the middle.
Yeah,
It's to be expected.
It's the case, isn't it? And just time training together. They haven't had a massive amount. 3 days this week, 3 days last week in the setup to be able to get out there on the field, and it all matters. Those connections you speak of, Jack, so important in the game, no matter what level. And the defence is going to be tested. Italians clearly, as we've seen already in this first opening 8 minutes, looking to put that line speed on to close down these significant line runners from England. And it's working well for them so far. Perhaps questions of their onside or offside, as no doubt you'll probably hear from the England coaches above us. But at the moment, this is a really comfortable start from the Italians. England need to make it a little bit more difficult for them.
Casilio has taken a touch in flight, so Tobias Elliott can set himself and head off. Lovely offload from the winger, Tame. Takar in support. And they'll need a scrum half to play this. In the end, it's Michelo who does that. Now Ollie Allen is back in charge. Harris, delay on the pass to his fullback Redshaw, one of the under-18 players in this England under-19 outfit. Kerr puts the chip in behind, real speed being put on this, and the collection from Wills. 3 metres away go England. But just knocking on.
Oh, unfortunate.
Rapid running from Alex Wills on the right wing.
That's brilliant play from England there, exposing that space out wide. The Italian defence is coming up hard, but it's very tight. The space is there out wide, and it was a lovely connecting pass to get the ball wide. Just before this, then the ball on the foot, as stretch defenders mean that the fullback has to come up. The gas, as you mentioned, from Wills, the sailman, flying down the wing. Unfortunately, not able to quite keep hold of it. And this is the corner we speak of, the famed Bedford corner. Usually in the wet and damp and slight bit more mud, it is very difficult to get out of here. However, this pristine condition with this little bit of wind against them might make it that little bit easier, but I expect to see the next few minutes of play to be down round about this territory.
Yeah, the Bedford corner in springtime is a happier place to be than it is in mid-December. Alex Wills, a sailman, but Rob also dual registered with Sedgley Park, who have been tearing up trees in National 2 North this season.
Yeah, the Tigers showing their teeth this year. Many of those players will be watching on, supporting their players. That's the other thing about this streaming. Brilliant, isn't it? You can get to connect to watch your club players as well.
The England scrum goes down and the referee's arm comes up. We haven't introduced the referee tonight, and that's remiss of us. Referee tonight, Richard Gordon, and assisted by Andrew Ashwell and Gareth Holsgrove. No TMO unless, Rob Vickerman, you want to step into the fray and maybe, should it come to that,
no
get
thanks.
you on the zapper.
Can't actually hear the refs either, so it might be interested in my interpretations as to theirs throughout this game. But as you say, it's not a bad thing we haven't mentioned the referee 10 minutes into this game. Oh, his left arm's getting a little bit more of a workout, because that's the third penalty against England's scrum now. They've just about scraped out of the corner as well.
Yeah, no mean feat that. So Italy with Davide Salvan have the ball. And now with Brisigella, who's kicked that long, and has that come off? Alex Wills.
50-22.
They're going to play
Just
quickly.
inside the 22, was it? Oh, I think that's a little bit unlucky. Let's have a little look at that one. That roll was favourable. That is a fantastic clearing kick. Look at that. 2 line kicks from the Italians, and they are well down in English territory.
There's the Rugby Viadana Brisighelli, who has got Italy in this position, but England and Joe Bailey with the ball, the Exeter chief, the only Exeter player in this England under-19 side. Huge box kick from England. This is right on the head of Imberti, but he sizes it up nicely. Casilio takes his time. Another penalty coming. England giving them away for free at the moment. Casilio off and running, chips for himself, the scrum half. His opposite number is back, but can't take it, and Ollie Allen has Sam Harris to tidy up there.
Italian ball.
They've pinched it back, and they're 5 away again. Jacopo Botturi.
Oh, good defence. Good defence from England, but that is a real hat tip to the scrum half, Lorenzo Casillo. It's exactly what you want your 9 to do. Midfield, tap and go. You're always going to try and chance your arm there with a chip over, put the pressure on the defence. Well swept up it was indeed from Harris, but eventually the ball was lost, and then to get your defence set that quickly will please English coaches. This is where you show your resilience as a young player. Backs against the wall.
Right to Bailey. England good with their line. And now they peel round and peel all the way through, coming with the captain Woodman. And that's knocked forward by England. Discipline errors as well as skills errors from the English at the moment. Casilio. Nanni. England try to spoil, but still with Italy, who are getting used to time on the ball, a little too used to it, because Tristan Woodman hammered the Italian loitering on that one. Brisigella. Gasparini, the try scorer. You're going to see a lot of him tonight, you sense, the way he started these opening 15 minutes.
Oh, Salvan's trying to find his ribs. That was a monster shot.
Chip over from deep. This is intended for Sodo, and it'll be beaten by everybody. Redshaw was covering for England.
I tell you what, that is how you make a statement as an English pack. Big second rowers carry midfield. Salvan is a unit. But it was Tristan Woodman putting every bit of his weight into this one. That is massive. Completely legal, legitimate, low under the sternum, whatever you want, clip it up, because that's how you still be offensive in your defence.
Would have been legal in community rugby next year as well. It's below the sternum.
Well, here in Bedford, famed Italian known for their pizza, but there's a few ribs on show there.
He got folded like a calzone, didn't he?
That's good. That's good.
I don't know about good. England bring things under their control. Kick from Allen, the Rams player, on loan from London Irish at Reading Rams and in the England side tonight. That's a lovely dink forward, and that's going to bounce well. England marshal across. Italy playing from side to side and through the middle of England at times, bearing the big shots when they come, but they are dominating the ball. Casilio. That's a nice pass too to Di Stefano. Brisigella jinking left and right, but scragged well by Zach Carr. Having pinched it. Hands on the ball, but still with Italy. Again, good aggressive defensive line from the English. Marcos Gallerini on the charge. And Bertie plays fly half. Pops it to Sodo, who's looking for work. Casilio again. That was Pontarini. Pace of this attack, a slow right down. Brisigella goes through himself, and he's taken to a certain degree. And Italy have slapped their hands on the ball there and muscled a penalty again.
Really enjoying Italy's all-court game at the moment, Jack. Defensively, stepping it up. Attack is looking really strong as well. Referee just taking a moment out. I tell you what, he's done some running. Referee Richard Gordon clocking in the K's. Bit of a water break now, just to keep the players hydrated.
"20 minutes in, and England trailing by a solitary score, but a good score from Italy. Worked their way forward nicely. Nicolas Gasparini bundling through a tackle to dot it down. And still up here, Rob, I think we're scratching our heads as to what on earth went on with the defensive line for Italy and England from either side of that scrum. But anyway, the upshot, an Italian try, and they have another shot on goal here.
Yeah, this is an interesting tactic. I said before about these games being out and out developmental. Both coaches describing about how great it is to get them out here to really relish an opportunity to play here. So taking a penalty from 40 metres out in front of the sticks. Not your classic decision at this point, specifically with such a strong scrum. But make no bones about it, this is an Italian team who are staring down the barrel here, been potentially 10-0 up with 20 minutes on the clock against an English team who have set a standard over the years for their schoolboy and senior rugby.
Brisigella has the distance but not the accuracy, puts that to the right hand side. Looking through the history book between these two teams here in Bedford, the last time Italy played England they lost 60 points to 3. That was a Women's International here in 2019. Before that it was a 35-10 loss at under 20 level, and then way back, as mentioned at the top of the programme, an England A loss. And the score not given, so perhaps the scorecard from that one all those years ago has gone awry, but England won it. So 3 times Italy have come here and 3 times they've lost, and this one being taken like a full-blooded test match from both teams. Hoiked high by Imberti. Not taken cleanly. Harris can't take it. Redshaw does. Tidies up well, the fullback. Maybe England can go through a few gears themselves now. Just need a set of phases in order to do that without an error cropping up. That's what's frustrated them so far. Mitchello with that last carry. That's Carr again, but he drops it. And a knock on once more.
Yeah, these are little bits of continuity just lacking in this English team. We said before, Jack, about them getting together as that hybrid between the 18s and the 20s. And it's these little moments. You can see Harris looking to take that ball flat. Carr just outside of him, we've already seen run that really good line straight down the gut of the pitch. But he's just unfortunate to not quite get his hands to that one. It's what you want your 10 and your 8 doing. It's probing around those outside third defenders, the guards if you like. That's where the space is going to be. A couple of errors clocked onto Carr's ledger, but he should not stop trying because he has got real potential.
Choice of line which he's run has been extremely intelligent, and he's cut through.
Best line of rugby, Jack, run straight.
England have some sort of a nudge on, but Italy get the ball away. Brisigella gathered in by De Villiers. Have Italy knocked this one forward? They haven't. Now Salvan, who's showing impressive levels of recovery after being checked out by Woodman. Another penalty.
Penalties, definitely a concerning factor. We've not heard as much foot stomping from above us, but we're approaching too many for certainly 20 minutes of rugby, almost as many as you'd want from a half. Anything under double digits in test rugby you'd say is where you want to be. I make that, is that 5 so far for Italy? And just 20 minutes on the clock, that's not ideal.
I need a Dorman's clicker to keep control of penalty counts. So they are going a fair way at the moment, and Italy making the most of it. More field position. And Gasparini in those orange boots might have ideas on the whitewash here. Taken by England and done well by Ollie Allen. Then Asher Apoku Fojour muscles a few metres. Italian substitutes there behind the dead ball line, urging their team on, instructions being barked across. England don't clear all that far, but at least a reprieve for now.
And giving plenty of opportunities for this Italian lineup to get going. As mentioned, Maul is a threat. Not quite got going as they would wish just yet. Let's see if they can get it going now.
Gasparini at the back. Taken on by Di Stefano. He peels off. The loose head has to be taken and is by Wright. Next wave comes. The Azzarini looking for a second try. Di Stefano in the front row, shouldering the bulk of the work. And England arm in arm to shut out the next wave. It's good from Harvey Cookson, wasn't it, to bury his shoulder, make sure his opponent was in the ground first. Di Stefano. Gallerini scored a try in every under-20 Six Nations game. The tight head prop for Italy, now playing a year down. Next pick and go. England lining up numbers well, however. This is discipline from the English. Pontarini plays scrum half.
We'll talk about the Italians, but this is gripping defence from England. Cookson putting in some shifts, putting the big weight and shoulder in. Your front five really step up at this point.
Well, finally Lorenzo Casilio has come forward to marshal his forwards. Decides that actually they can have another go. And I don't think they need a second chance to do that.
Sapping stuff from both teams here.
Then goes Boturi, the captain. England pinch it and pull it away nicely.
Well, big celebrations there, rightly so. Front five, that is outstanding from England. Apoku Fajur, 6'3" and 128 kilograms. And he is putting some work in. That was his steal, going to credit him that. Bailey in there as well. Mentioned Cookson defending well. And Craig Wright, that's what you want your grafters to do. Get your head stuck in and get working.
It's Italy's Alessandro Di Stefano from L'Aquila, who is down at the moment, receiving treatment, and gives us a chance to say hello to all of you watching on from wherever you are. And we know we have Italian and English fans watching on from around the world, actually. This rare chance to see under-19s action, and Rob, a chance perhaps for us to pick over some of your memories from the under-19s back in the day. 2004 we were trying to work out, was that when you were playing?
Yeah, and I've still got the picture at home, Jack. I tell you, it was a dream team back in the day. Backline, this will test people's memories, backline of Warren Fury, Ryan Lamb, Anthony Allen, Matthew Tate, Tom Vandell, Topsy Ojo, Tom Vandell on the left wing. That is a team. Unfortunately, we got knocked out in the quarterfinals, but good memories. And of that, majority of them went on to get caps as well, so it really shows you how important this level can be. And who knows, this is why it's so exciting to watch this level, that this is the next generation coming through. Names you'll be seeing here, as it has been watching the likes of DuPont over the last few years, to see them progress into the senior setup and flourish at that as well. So it really is the gateway to the next set of stars. Cracking stuff.
International caps or not as well, number of professional careers that would have come out of that team in your vintage.
And that's the aspiration. You know, this is what every one of these players will be spending inordinate amount of times thinking about, trying to work out how their studies will fit into it as well, but they want professional careers. Many are on that first step, and this is a big part of it.
Davide Salvan takes the line. That's a lovely burst upfield from De Villiers. England scramble back. Redshaw involved, the fullback. Casilio. Brisigella hitches, sees a soft shoulder or two. Makes yards the fly half. Casilio misses out the first runner. Then goes to his open side, Toninelli. Olmo D'Alessandro now. Once Italy make that breakthrough, as they've done several times today, England have been good at stifling their momentum, meaning they have to go back to the forwards. Gasparini. Patrick de Villiers again marking himself out in this Italian team, and this number 24 is de Villiers. Brisigella onto Imberti, that's back inside.
Oh my word. Oh, let it go. Let it go, just for audacity. Round the back. I get excited by stuff like this, Jack. Nice play. He knows where the space is. Out the back, little cheeky flick.
This is so good. I didn't see it in real time. I could only see it in slow-mo.
Oh, that is purring.
Well, if you're going to wear a fullback jersey and be an Italian, you've got a lot to live up to these days, haven't you?
Oh, that's true. I'll tell you what, that's going to be on his reels later on, isn't it? Pick your music to that one. Wowzers. And from that angle, you can't tell it was forward either, so that's going to look great.
Italian box of tricks opened up. Look at the crowd here at Goldington Road. There's a game tomorrow as well, by the way. Bedford are playing Coventry in the Championship, but everyone out tonight for this as well. England's with the penalty, and Sam Harris comes forward to get his forwards going.
Yeah, that's what you want to see as well. First English scrum penalty. It's a turn of the tides. Now a little bit of doubt in the referee's mind as to where the upper hand is held in the scrums. That's what you want. Tired looking pack. They've put a lot in, England, in the last 30 minutes. Defensively have really stepped up this English pack. They're going to grind through the latter stages of this half and hope that their very talented backs get a chance to spark. You can see how tight they are. Expect to see some expansive outside arcs, hopefully, if the ball gets a little bit cleaner.
Craig Wright thunders through an Italian tackle but knocks on.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Again, never really want to judge and critique too much for players wanting to keep that ball alive. This is very much an offload generation. We want to keep that going. It was just a little bit of inaccuracy how the ball hit his back, I think, before it got out of his hand. And Wright, another one of these players, currently at Northampton, very highly thought of by the English Pathways coaches. He's nurturing his loose head prop a bit. Nice to see that.
One of three Saints in this English 25. There's a few extra on the bench at under 19 level to rotate. Harlequins providing the most for this England squad, by the way. 5 players involved. Other than that, it's a very even spread across Premiership academies. Sam Harris, he is down in Bath, former Millfield pupil, who kicks England close to Italy's 22, although it's going to be brought back quite a bit. And Afolabi Fasogbon first to set up the line out. A little more urgency to England's play now. Half-hour mark has been reached. Taken down. Woodman, the captain, and then lovely pass onto Tame, who keeps going, and that's out the back as well. Allen skates in. The scrum half has England's reply, and in the blink of an eye, England's are level on tries.
Well, I talked about it being the offload generation, and this is exactly what you want to see. England the 19s playing with that spirit and endeavour to keep that ball alive. Outrageous skill set. Offloads coming thick and fast in this game, and that was one of the best. Line break, running hard, there's your space. Take the contact initially. And it was Wills who's just keeping that alive out the left hand. Lads at Sedgley will be loving that one.
And not far away from us as well, in the clubhouse in Rams. One for Ollie Allen to savour. It's the first shot on goal for Sam Harris. Harris goes straight and true through the posts. Splendid start from the tee from England's fly half.
Got to also celebrate the fact that English scrum dominance is back in this game. 2 penalties have seen them get to the field position from the line out to then get their explosive runners in the game. A couple offloads later, and they're back in the mix. Took them a long time, 33 minutes in this first half to get onto the scoreboard, but it's now level. And there's been a lot of rugby on show for a 7-all game so far.
Redshaw boots this downfield. Brisigella. Not easy to track where he's intending to run, Italy's fly half. He's got a nice shift of movement when he's on the ball. Gasparini, his shift of movement is always forward. De Villiers kicks this through and showing his full skill set. Patrick de Villiers. So there we go. 35 minutes on the clock, which at an under-18 level would be half-time. And the Italian coaches behind us insisting it's 40.
Yeah, I thought so.
And our referee, Richard Gordon, I think, is going to take a consultation on this. What was it in your day, Rob?
Well, a lot of people shouting down from the gantry. And typically, you'd expect it to be 40. 35 minutes is what the referee's playing to, and they're off the pitch.
Yeah, everyone doesn't seem to know what they're doing.
I've never seen this before. So Gordon is standing by.
Better warn him, I think Alan Dickens is on the way to have a bit of a comment.
So the half has either ended early or ended on time, depending on your viewpoint. We'll look into things over half time on that one. But England's level with Italy, 7 points all at half time. So some highlights for us to look over coming up shortly in the half-time break. But just take in Bedford and Goldington Road on a Friday night. It has a buzz now after England's try. One of the great places to be. And here's how things started a little while back. Italy off to a flyer with a try from Nicolas Gasparini, the Stade Francais hooker, who has put himself about a bit in this first half.
Yeah, power personified this one. I mentioned at the time there'd be a lot of unhappy backs not getting the ball, but if you're going to back yourself, this is what you want to be doing. Run hard, run straight, significant frames in front of him. Zogban will not be happy missing the tackle, but it's a credit to the firecracker hooker who gets over. There's a good opportunity on the right hand side. Tobias Elliott showing his pace, not quite been able to keep that ball alive to his teammates. Got England close, but not close enough. And then back on their own try line, it was across to Harris to clear up things after a really good line break from Lorenzo Casillo, who has been outstanding for the Italians at scrum half. My personal highlight from the half, and your best comment I've ever heard you say, being folded like a calzone.
Taking off your lead, Rob, about the ribs gag.
Unfortunately, these types of offloads not just sticking, but when they do, that's when England looking most potent. Both teams, a few errors in that midfield, as we can see, not quite as much coherence as we'd like. And stoic defence on the England try line to clear their lines with a bit of pressure coming in from Italy. Stolen back it was, but eventually ended up being back in England ball. After a bit of to and fro in down in the in-goal area, it was England's will to finish off the first half with a little bit of power. And driving line out for Italy. Continue to be a weapon, as is this wonderful line runner. And there's Patrick de Villiers, who's had a couple of lovely touches. That's going to get on the reel. Out the back door from Imberti. And here we go, England's try. Line out, keeping that ball alive. Lovely offload coming in from Wills. Continuing that form, supporting players in his slipstream. There's the offload, and there's the run-in.
England took their time to get going, but ending the first 35 minutes with a 7-point score. And now England are of course playing France tomorrow. TikTok Women's Six Nations, the decider. But last weekend they were in Ireland, and here is a little insight into how they travelled over to Musgrave Park and got that win.
A riveting game of Mario Kart going on, and not that I'm biased, but Holly is the best. How did that feel, Hall? How'd the win feel?
Shut up. Sorry,
Abby's not in a good way.
Sad. If anyone wants to know, I came third.
No one wanted to know how. Well done, Hall. Proud of you. She's done it again. Tag team. How you doing over there, Abby?
Last session before we fly over to Ireland, let's make sure that we use it to its maximum potential. Let's make sure we're clinical when we're working hard, and let's just really go and attack it.
Out it goes again, chance to the outside, and Sarah Beckett, who took the very first carry of the game, finishes the first try. It's taken less than 2 minutes. Ball again for England, Aitchison, lovely pass on the outside channel, Tatiana Hurds into the corner, Tatiana Hurds. Aitchison on a queuing up, Marty Packer must go on the outside, all the way in for Kilton. The full back for England gets the third. That was a thing of beauty. Short pop pass this time, and over the line they go. England in once again. It's Packer. It's the captain. It's her 6th try in the championship, and it's all too easy. Fresh legs in the front row have been completely dominant. This could be penalty try territory if Ireland bring it down. Advantage already. Shirley Matthews picks off the ground. The power to get there, yes. She's down. It is a try. England with the final nail in the cup.
Hello and welcome to Figston Lane. Giving this local derby a bit of the big. It's all part of the RFU. Not for me.
ready to go, and we certainly have a few hundred packed in. The home side will be pretty happy with that three-point advantage from an early penalty down.
Absolutely. Ryan Vanua is on the outside, and he is going to get it here. To keep going down the short side, and Donovan is making all sorts of yards up there. Going back the other way, and Richmond should get the try.
Well, the referee brings about the end of the match. Darlington showing themselves to be the slightly smarter outfit altogether.
Did each other proud, most of all, themselves proud. If you earn your beer, you earn the respect of everybody. Yeah? That'll be there forever.
Unbelievable. Descending on Twickenham for the crunch. But here we are, Friday night in Bedford, and work to do for both nations. Tied up 7 apiece. And Rob, what will Alan Dickens have been saying to England at half-time?
Well, I think it's about trying to look for a little bit more of consistency of performance. Like they've been up and they've been down a little bit. Those errors have really crept in. They've not really grabbed hold of the game as such yet, but that's absolutely no discredit to Italy, who have really stepped up. The Italian line speed's been coming in thick and fast. Will that sustain for the next half? Who knows? I think England need to go to their absolute core strength, which is big line break runners, hitting the midfield, and letting the likes of Ollie Allen and Sam Harris really control this as 9 and 10. Get the likes of Carr and Woodman in the game, the big front five, and then their firepower out wide is absolutely electric.
We've seen so little of it though, haven't we? Tobias Elliott, we know how well he can shift, and Alex Wills, we've seen a little bit in action as well, setting up that try for Ollie Allen. It just hasn't been one for the wide men so far. Brisigella gets things underway. England playing up the slight gradient here in Bedford for the second half. And England looking to run things. Harris spreads things along. Redshaw to the line, the fullback stepping and then placing the fend. Ball knocked out of his possession. Allen, good hands along, and big contact behind the gain line as Opoku Forjur was lined up, but he rode it well. Harris, a little more organisation and urgency to England now. Here's Elliott to the line, and now he's released, backs outside him. Tame involved. England's making good yardage here. Harris sees space and forces Scalabrin to turn. They were offside, Italy, and that is the type of energy that was missing in the first half from England.
Well, exactly what we spoke about there at half-time. We've been addressed about that energy and effort, seen it in abundance there in just 30 seconds. Different intensity of line break, different intensity of supporting the ball, pace of the ball from the ruck back into the hands of the fly half, and then shock horror. Penalties are given because the defence is so stretched. What a great start to the second half from England.
Harris makes good with the kick to touch.
They've certainly got that extra gear out wide. Likes a Redshaw. He's just so adept. Ball in hand. It looks like he's just going to go.
Towering height under the lights. England's line out looking good as well. Allen arrives to usher this rolling ball ever forward. Now he alights the ball. Round the back to Harris now, and Italy fly through, and Brisigella is onto this. He'll be called back. Numbers at the line out, I think.
Yeah, old school. Yeah, it's called numbers. Short arm, free kick, so you have the option of scrum again potentially. Having got the last 2 penalties. Can't kick to the line out, so it might just be the old school tap and go. Now, nothing wrong with this, you can hit it off the head. Seen a couple of comedic instances in the Sevens game where games have been ended by it.
No referee mic tonight, which is why we can't hear our referee in the middle, Richard Gordon. It tests our knowledge of the hand signals from the World Rugby Law Book, doesn't it? Vickerman, you've been on point all night so far. England with the ball. Good yardage made from this initial burst. Carr is missed out, not quite on the same wavelength on that second phase. Lorenzo Nani wrestles his way upfield. Lorenzo Casilio back to Brisigella, and that brings groans from Paolo Grassi, Italy's coach, who's standing right next to us. He wanted a little more practicality, and now he gets it. Chases good, but only by one man, and Wills makes hay. Italy usher England to touch, and in fact they've got the ball back. Super work from Italy at the breakdown. No look pass on the gain line because Gasparini was herring onto that. Casilio makes this contestable. Great take, but upended in the air, and that looked really nasty on the way down. But Sam Harris flew up to claim that for England.
Well, Harris, who's playing fullback
Yeah, he went for the catch
in the under-20s campaign. Never good to see this. The jurisdiction is if the players are going for the ball in the air, it's fair game. It's when it isn't seen as a fair contest, and therefore danger becomes a lot higher. The wording the referees will be speaking about here, the assistants will be about it being reckless and the intent of it. If it's a high degree of risk, the mitigating factors will bring it down from a red down to a yellow.
Sam Harris ran about 20 metres before taking off from Bedford soil. Wonderful athleticism from the fly half. Harris up on his feet, as is Leonardo Sodo.
You can't hear the referees here, but also just to state at this point, because there are under 18s playing with the welfare parameters, as you can see, if it were a head injury to anyone under 18, they would be removed automatically, but that's seismic. Sodo takes the red, and that becomes a very difficult proposition for Italy now.
And without the benefit of TMO, of course, Richard Gordon and his assistants reaching that decision pretty quickly. Such was the collision on Harris. Italy down to 14.
Well, the only thing to state here, tactically, losing a winger with a red card isn't necessarily the worst position to lose. You have to have an active back three. Your fly half has to be adept at kicking the ball a bit longer to try and take out that threat. But this is where the competition could well be won up front.
Cookson. Allen feeds forwards with urgency now. England moving through the gears a bit quicker. Fasogbon. Right missed out. Redshaw is there. Taken by Italy. An interception and a race across Bedford. Tobias Elliott chasing back. Umberti has done him, and he's all the way. And Italy have struck a mighty blow against England. moments after seeing a red card raised. Francisco Imberti.
Well, we may well have seen a reel from his first half, but I tell you what, this one's going to get some viewing because that was sensational. You felt for the chasing Elliott. He nearly gets him, but that little change of direction just throws him off. We talk about the hill here all the time at Goldington Road, and could it be that the factor that's just thrown him off slightly? That is composure from Imberti. What a fantastic score. A little bit of pre-celebration. I don't mind that if you're going to come out with a bit of a worldie. He's left everybody for dead in the background, aside from Elliott, the Saracen, who just can't quite get there. This angle will show you just how much ground he's covering. Look at the slope of the pitch. He's gone away from it. Normally, naturally, you'll head towards that bottom right. He goes against it. 6 metres or so above where the other side of the pitch ends. He is flying in. Francesco Imberti. Celebrate that one.
Brisigella can't add the extras, but Italy 12 points to 7 ahead now.
And that is how you bail out your fella back three player. Leonardo Soto, just 5 minutes ago, red carded for Italy. The chance in their own territory to get the ball, and then Imberti was gone.
And just when England were looking so good as well, Italy unpick that English defence again. Lorenzo Casilio. Clears long. And he's put good distance on that as the scrum half. You drew a comparison to Alessandro Troncon to him, Rob, earlier. Well, he's got a bit more speed than Troncon had even in his heyday, I think. But the kicking ability and that nous around the base of the scrum is Troncon-esque.
It's going to be all important as well. Certainly that right-hand side mentioned Soto. He's been red-carded, so could be exposed out there, Italy.
Harris now shows his attacking skill set. It's going to be picked up nicely and carried forward. England ringing a few changes. Opoku Forjour takes that into contact. Italy all over the ball here and taking it. Casilio wants to get this away, but England pouring through again, and they have the penalty.
And you can hear the celebrations of that. England need to get back into this game, get a hold of it, and this is how you do it, with big powering runs. Line out was smart. Nice interplay. Harris showing his abilities. That offload not quite going to hand, but Zach Kerr didn't half make amends. Big powering number 8. He's a real presence on this pitch for England.
Craig Wright once again with the ball in his hands, the Northampton Saints hooker. Again, England's line-out is starting to look very good. Wright goes in at the back of this maul. New scrum half on is Archie McParland. He'll let the forwards soften up Italy, and they might go all the way across the whitewash. England get there. And it's the muscle boys that get the job done.
Local boy Craig Wright, it was scoring it. The hooker's looked imposing when he's had chance. Ball in hand in that first half, continued in the second. Andy Titterell is upstairs alongside Alan Dickens will be relishing that one. The front rower keeping control and guiding them at the back. Initially the maul just finding its way, ends up getting that momentum you want, and then there's no stopping it from there.
So England correcting the scoreline from their perspective. Can they make it a bit better now with Italy missing their conversion, Sam Harris has a chance for England to take the lead for the first time. Ooh. Energetic charge down, but Harris has put that all the way through. England do hit the front. 14 points to 12.
Well, that's a lovely strike from Sam Harris. There was some serious heat coming down on him. Does take his time, but that time leads to accuracy. And back to level peggings.
Brisigella has gone high, and it's a good chase from Italy, but that is a fantastic take out of the air. England lifting their jumpers and everything running smoothly for the English from the restart. Well, just in case you're wondering whether the rules in rugby have changed, it is 14-12 to England. There we go. We're back to where we should be. Change of direction from Imberti. England have hit this a little too far to make it difficult for Brisigella. Casilio again, but England again aggressive in defence. Now there's speed for Italy. Again, the blind side, the option. Casilio, good hands again. Back on the inside, De Villiers recollects the ball. Man who's joining Zebre in the United Rugby Championship in January next year. But Italy's attack stops there.
Well, that's the first thing he's been involved with, De Villiers, that hasn't been productive. Wonderful ball carrier. No one there really supporting him. Penalty is an easy decision for the referee. No real contest over it.
With Italy being down to 14, Rob, should there be a change for them in tactics, or with it being Lorenzo Sodo, as you said, the right winger, they may as well just crack on and just work that little bit harder?
Yeah, interestingly, all the play has been on that far side, which is where Sodo would have been positioned. So in some ways, the fact that it's not been exposed by England will benefit the Italians. But certainly the box kicks on that right-hand side tactically have to be different because no one will be there to chase it. You can bring your fullback round for Italy to try and compensate for the fact the winger's off. But I think tactically what you've seen here is just a dogged display from Italy. They had the fortuitous interception which led to the try. And other than that, it's been a lot of England ball, but they're not necessarily using the fact that they've got the extra man to their advantage yet. There's been a lot of errors still which underpin their first half lack of performance.
Line out is good. Speed of ball is excellent. And here goes Toby Tame diving under the sticks. Lightning quick backline move from England. Tame the scorer. And England have 3.
And of all the traction they did gain in that first half, those big, straight, hard line runs from this England team from the line out, which is shortened. Harris picking the option, nice little short ball, 3 options waiting. You see this setup the world over. A short line runner, a ball in behind, everyone expects the ball to go out the back, but it's the lovely timing of the pass. Deft hands, that's how you create centre partnerships, and that is a wonderful carry from a man who scored one and set one up last week, Toby Tame. He'll be pleasing every fan in the Midlands with that hard line straight down the middle.
Harris makes it 3 from 3 from him tonight, the easiest of the lot from the tee. No trouble for England's number 10.
Lovely strike through, not as much pressure on that time round. You mentioned about the tactics for Italy. We spoke about attack, but in defence, you've got to make sure if your left winger's gone, your right winger's gone, sorry, you need to make sure that inside channel is defended. That was executed brilliantly from England's attack.
Those connections which were struggling to stick in the first half were on point then, as was Zach Carr's catch and carry from the restart. Archie McParland waits to clear the lines. One of the under-18s in this England team, McParland. He played in the under-18 festival, scoring twice actually against Ireland in the last round. And those who've been watching England under-18s will have seen a lot of similarities in that try to how England performed in the festival just earlier this month. A lot of direct running, centres offloading, and really typically English style play. And it was working, as it has done in this second half. Penalty Italy.
The Italians are relishing this, a little bit of tempo off the ball. You play with 14, you've got to adjust that. Haven't seen a huge amount in the second half of their fly half, Simeone. Brazilla, which is a shame, because that first half, that first 10 minutes, he looked like he was really going to grab this game. But chance for the lower numbers to do their thing now.
England spoil, but McParland bumps into Zach Carr. Carr says, I'll look after this. McParland, the Saints Academy player and Stowe schoolboy for another few months at least. That's an excellent kick. Look at the legs on that.
Brilliant stuff. Schoolboy, how amazing is that? Playing at this level, playing with the English rose on your chest. That is a memory maker. He'll be walking chest out around school tomorrow, I'm sure.
Italy, this time their turn for fast line-out ball, and this is going over to Bini, who hitches and then makes ground, offloading nicely. Casilio, here's De Villiers again. Oh, he is hammered into the ground by Zach Carr. Casilio again, Brisigella, urgency with Italy now.
Hello? 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 Can the camera hear us? Probably, yeah.
Casilio back to the left. There are numbers for Italy, they don't make it work. That was Tommaso Ferrari. Gasparini, the try scorer after 5 minutes for Italy in this contest. De Villiers, good hands again. Here is Francesco Bini, taken by Harris, and he might go from here. Italy counter and at least slow England down. Now they pile through. It is a ferocious contest at the breakdown.
Oh, wasn't it? It's attrition up front. Full body tackles. I've got a feel for, I think it's De Villiers on this near side, just getting a bit of treatment. When you get cramp, you're not going anywhere. Pace has really got up. These teams filling it in the legs a little bit now.
And that is Patrick De Villiers, who's stretching off the cramp and taking his position in the back line. Taken by Boturi. New man on is Luca Bellucci. England, though, muscle the penalty again. Really turned that tide, Rob, on the referee's whistle since the first half, haven't they, England?
Yeah, it's ferocious defence. Trisha Woodman just waiting for it. Senses opportunity, went over the top. Italians not backing up their attack, letting that lead runner go a little bit too far on their own. And just enveloped by the men in white.
Who stays in? Bini kicks long. Taken well. The lights are fully on now. Has to be watched well. Tommaso Simoni now. Back on England's side. And here come England again. Good calling, because there's numbers here. Tobias Elliott sets off Redshaw for a foot race. Ben Redshaw. Brissigella's gone back well, and those jinking feet are needed. And if he secured that for Italy, that represents an excellent piece of work from the fly half. Casilio's kick gives a little bit of breathing space for Italy, but they are being put under strenuous pressure now.
Well, they'll take that. That's not a bad outcome. Italy looking a little bit ragged there in their own quarter. England flying into the breakdowns. Have got that bit between their teeth, a bit more confidence. Things are going for them. Momentum's there for the men in white to clear the lines. Looked a little bit desperate, but it worked. Shortened line out again, which has been fruitful for the English.
James Isaacs on for right. Woodman, nice weight on that pass from the open side, and captain. And England into Italy's 22 again. McParland's. There's that car hammering into contact again. Italy with an advantage. Casilio, wide pass. That might have worked, but not taken.
That's really unfortunate when you see that, because when you get that type of contact where you win that collision, you drive them forward, the line is going to be there, but when you pressure a 9 and run a hard short line just outside him, he's got no option to give it. And when you get met by a defender, that's when errors happen. It's the third time now we've seen Zach Carr run that really hard line, and unfortunately it's just not in sync with his 9. It looks as though they're almost stepping on each other's toes a little bit, and that cohesion, that ability to take them forward in the midfield is lost and the ball is given away. It's just a really cheap error from England.
Worth noting that there's nothing after this for England under 19s. Things move into selection criteria for the under 20s, the Junior World Championship later this year. And that's the case for both Italy and England. Both played Wales in the build-up to this match and both beaten Wales. England doing so last weekend, Italy a few weeks before that. Another fine kick downfield. We're not at altitude in Bedford, I don't think so, but it's going a distance tonight.
It does feel it. I mean, the guy that's played here for about 35 years, Jake Sharp, he would always put you in that corner and you would never move from it. So there's very much knowledge of this pitch that you need coming into it, and that's how you use it to your advantage. Say about the slope, the ball's always going to bounce that way. Wonderful tactical ticket kicking from Italy, and that's what they need to do. They're a man down, that right winger isn't able to chase as he's off the field, so they've made their adjustments and they're playing with 14.
Yeah, worth noting that for anyone joining our coverage a little bit later. Italy down to 14. Lorenzo Sodo, the man red carded for a tackle in the air on Sam Harris, who really rode it well. It was a heavy, heavy hit, wasn't it? But medics on to check that he was okay.
Yep, and it was 5 minutes into the second half. So looking at the scoreline, 21-12. England have really only capitalised on that through the one score when they really got that ascendancy. They got the ball in hand of their big line runners, and I mentioned about how well their centres played. It was Collard's lovely hold-up ball to the flying tame on it. That's when they look really good, England. Those little moments where it clicks. Conversely, those chinks not quite always as strong as the armour you'd hope.
Penalty Italy. Vix, a question for you. How do you get that unity in a squad when you've got players mixing from different age groups? Of course, they all play with their schoolmates as well, and that has an obvious cohesion because you know your friends so well. But when it comes to this type of scratch England side, perhaps, how do you manufacture that in the time that you have?
No, it's a really big question, and it's something the coaches spend a lot of time thinking about. Typically, if you have one type of style, at this level, you can almost try and replicate it throughout. So you want to try and get the 18s, 19s and 20s playing a similar structure. You can then even take those coaches that are in the England setup and get them into the schools to try and get them on the same page as well. It's something that New Zealand typically did very well back in the day. Australia had that type of model when there were 3 really strong franchises, but typically the most successful England teams you have at any level are from one cohort group of team or players. You think about Saracens, you think about the Sharks back for South Africa, Crusaders for New Zealand, but this is quality from Italy. This is what their strength is.
Yeah, that marks out any Italian performance up front and the way those front 5 go. And they've been impressive again tonight. Marcos Gallerini, still going Gallerini. Metre away go Italy.
I think it's over.
Italian hands are raised. Richard Gordon has a long look at it. Just a half-back sneak, and that's all that's needed. Italy have another try.
Well, just checking, I don't think there's much movement on the player there. But make sure he's okay. Hasn't moved at all from the prone position he found himself. I actually thought he scored the try, the barreling run. Oh, he's on his knees now, which is good. Yet another powerful charge it was. Gallerini that time. We saw in the first half how effective Gasparini was, the hooker. He didn't quite get there, but alongside him, the pick up and put down just on the right. The front row union.
Okay, we don't have a statistician here today, but if you do, how do you allocate that? It's not a metre made, is it, in contact, although you've scored a try?
I don't even think it was a centimetre. It looked like it was already over the line. It's a bit of a nuance in rugby, there's many, but if the ball is over the line and it wasn't scored, there is no ruck, there's no offside line, so at any point you can put the ball down. That might well have been what it was, but the referee well positioned. And Richard Gordon putting the arm in the air.
Excellent strike from the tee, Brisigela. Wow. And he has given Italy a lifeline for the final minute or so. Our clock not linked to the referee's wristwatch, we should say, so it's at best a guide. But it is a 70-minute match. We had a deliberation at the end of the first half, didn't we, where coaches thought it was 40 minutes to play, and our referee, Richard Gordon, called things at 35. So 1 minute remaining. Josh Bellamy on, the Trinity School fly half for these final minutes. He puts it deep. England are onto this, looking to seal things. Italy and Casilio bring it away. What is left in this match tonight under the lights in Bedford? Bellamy, well, he'll want to play in all situations. Simoni kicks this, banana boots it downfield, doesn't quite keep it in.
Well, much to our frustration at the end of the first half, not knowing if it was 35 or 40 minutes. I hope the players know, because that's very much going to decide what your actions are for these next few minutes. Got to say, this is commendable. Italy have played 30 minutes of this second half with just 14 players, their right winger sent off, and they've really stuck at it. England have been frustrated at times, they've not had that cohesion, but can they finish this game with a little bit of it? Play to your systems, get your big strong runners going, and get that talent that they've got on show here at Bedford.
That England maul rolling again. Expect actually to have 5 more minutes or so, I think, because our clock for the second half started at 40. So to go for another 35, there should be 5 minutes left in this. Penalty England.
And that's one of those moments where that pressure valve that is bursting at the seam is just released. Penalty now to England. They're going to deliberate, likely take the kick to touch. And their sheer size, their sheer weight of play, I cannot believe these are under-19s. They are giants of humans. Imagine trying to teach them.
I think we felt the England players were bigger before kickoff because they were closer to us. The Italians are huge as well. To the back go England, but it's overthrown. And Italy have grabbed this and pinched this out the back, and now they have numbers. England tackling back. How important was that intervention? Here's Bellamy wrestling forward. McParland, then Makepeace Cubitt. Wills carries strongly. McParland again Apoku Fojur.
De Villiers again down. We just hope it's cramp. Doesn't look great, but he was lying down beforehand, not able to move his legs, such as his calves are cramping. It looks a little bit more serious than that, must be said. It's actually the tackle on him which turned the ball over, and because it was in from behind, it might well be it was a rolled ankle, which are never nice to see. I'll probably summarise the game in that last 2 minutes there. England a little bit frantic, losing that ball. Italy played off scraps, getting a little bit of hope, but it's the hope that often kills you.
Well, whatever happens in the next 3 minutes, it's going to be Italy's closest running of England in the 4 matches they've now played here in Bedford across the 22 years since the first match was played here. I mentioned at the start how there's such a strong Italian connection between Bedford and Italy.
I think it's that good of a fact you should probably say it again.
I have to get out the history book in order to say it again. There's a lot to cover here, Ron, where it goes back to when the biggest brickworks in the world were in Bedford, the Marston Valley Brick Company, and they found themselves short of hard labour, so they went to southern Italy and they enticed thousands of men from villages in the south of Italy in the 50s and 60s, this is, to come to Bedford and set up a life here, and they did that gladly, and the brickworks are not quite as they were in those days. Still the structures remain, but not quite the powerhouse that Britain once was in terms of producing bricks, but there we go. The lifestyles of those who came over, they've maintained, and there's a lot of Italian support here. I was hearing that during the European Championships for football last year before last, Bedford was a city divided when it came to that final, such as the Italian connection.
I always thought it was cricket that I learnt the most from commentary, but I think, Jack Zorro, you've proved me wrong here.
Well, it's all thanks really to Bedford and whoever put their match programme together. He's covered the history off.
I will never look at a brick the same again in Bedford. But this isn't good scenes though. He's been one standout player, hasn't he? Every time he's got the ball, he's looked dangerous. Patrick de Villiers, a shame to be seen going off on a stretcher, but it did look quite bad how he was tackled from behind. Massive hope across the whole depth of this Italian squad. Clearly we're seeing in the Six Nations certainly, but the 20s most definitely, how these players are really coming through for Italy. They've had the exposure of professionalism, and they've had a stronger sign of that in the times recently, with their European teams going strong.
In terms of Italy as well, Rob, are you seeing the DNA of the national side as well in this under-19 team?
I think you are, but when you get the likes of Padovani coming through, Cabricci, like these players who are out-and-out young generational players, they're really stepping up. We're making, a real thing about the fact that breakthrough players awarded and traction is gained, more caps for their country than their club. Some of the players in the Italian Six Nations team, and that's the Garbisi model. That's the type of player you want to bring through. Give them confidence. They've got the skill set. We've seen that. The rugby IQ, the understanding of when to play and how to play. That'll come through time, through exposure such as this. But it must be an exciting time for Italian rugby.
Yeah, and once Patrick de Villiers is able to get up and hopefully recover, as you say, it did look nasty, but he's a man who's got a hot future as well. He's on the books at Zebre and looking to be brought into the senior setup, we hear, next year.
And then there's the England team in front of us here. We're looking at the future generation of our own crop. Statistically, 2 or 3 might well make it to the senior side. But many clubs will be looking at this as a bit of a scouting mission, which players are going to step up. The 20s is now a formidable programme back in South Africa this year after a little bit of absence.
Rob, we spoke to Alan Dickens this week, and he mentioned how important it is for England players, for him to make sure they get their exams done at this time of year as well. For yourself, what was it like when you were coming through and balancing that side of life with being an international.
It's tricky. I mean, the actual elephant in the room here is only England have the model academically of having a September to September timetable of schedule. Every other country does January to January. So when it comes to A-levels, it was really difficult. It was under-9 teams programme because you're smack bang in the middle of your exams. We actually went to South Africa, to Durban, for 6 weeks. And an hour and a half a day was allocated solely to locking ourselves in the room and doing some academics. I actually went from 2 U's and 2 D's to 4 B's at A-level. So I have to credit my under-19s rugby has been quite fruitful for my A-levels.
So rugby was good for your academics?
Rugby was good for me. Locked me in a room and I had to do the work.
Well, there we go.
But it is a big thing, and Alan Dickens was very right in to say that, you know, rugby at this point in the players' careers, it's important, but it's not the most important thing. Exams come first, and I think we need to really celebrate that these are fantastic athletes. We're talking about these people at school being the absolute stars of their school. They're the ones that are put on stage, they're the ones that are lauded by the whole school, and rightly so, because it's a proud thing to have any player in a representative system. However, underpinning the reason why they're at school is that academics, and they've got to realise that going forward, that you're only one injury, which is very pertinent looking at De Villiers, away from losing that professional status of being a player. And if you can't answer a question of what you're going to do tomorrow when you're a professional, you're in a very precarious position.
We're at a club as well, which is known for that as well, merging rugby careers with working and semi-professional. They've got that balance so right through the years, Bedford. And they've had some great players grace this field as well, amongst all of that.
I think the Championship shows that model. Many of these players probably will progress to go on to at least Championship level. You'd think so many of them will be playing Premiership as well, but you're right, it's that balance of education, life experience in rugby. Rugby is one of the best facilitators in most things in business, actually, so if they really harness that and use it well, you know, you can be playing here at Goldington Road in the Championship, you might well be gracing the Premiership or eventually even the dizzy heights of international rugby, but knowing that rugby is a wonderful family to be a part of.
And the Championship this year, going through tough times, the Championship, as so many leagues are in the UK in rugby, but the Championship is putting an excellent face on things. And next year, of course, we've got the FA Cup back in many ways. Championship teams competing with Premiership sides.
Which it used to be back in the day, and that's fantastic. I remember playing at Leeds, going down to, I think it was level 4 or 5 down in Gloucester, and really having a tough old go, and you have to come out your changing room, walk past a couple of people goading you, past the burger van.
Quite right.
Checking the wheels are still on the car on the way back. Anything to disrupt you as a player, but I'm all about that. Sadly we lost, it was a power gen, and we lost to Moseley in the final with a certain Dan Norton playing, but I'll say no more of that.
You won your fair share of finals in Leeds though as well, didn't you, in that cup? So here we go. Patrick De Villiers being taken off on a stretcher, and that is a very sad sight indeed. Such a good game from the centre as well. We wish him all the best.
Yep, he's been great. Casillo, the scrum half, also alongside his talisman. We show the 10. Very exciting Italian players. I'm sure we are going to hear their name mentioned many more times, but we do hope De Villiers gets over this injury as best he can and as soon as he can. So psychologically, you've got to be back on your mettle here. The last time England had a set piece this side of the field, it was the most sumptuous of passes from Collard across to his fellow centre. Let's see if the centres can be as in tune once more.
As we say, we think there should be 2 or 3 minutes remaining, maybe an extra minute of added time. Well, I'm sure a few more minutes of added time. But Parland anyway. Scrum going backwards. Bellamy onto Tame, and he was through again.
The same line, the same hole, but not the same outcome. That's when you just think those 5 minutes spending just doing passing on the line, you drifted a little bit, not quite there on point. A little bit on top of each other, but it still comes off, similar shape, ball in behind, flat ball in the middle. He's under the sticks there, Tame. That will be heartbreaking watching that one back.
Italy's turn. And with just 2 points in it, This can go any which way. The Italians may fancy a run from here, given the ability they've got in their backline, despite being a winger short. Lorenzo Sodo, red carded early in this second half.
They've opted for a 7-man shove though, and that is rare. 7 men in the scrum, and they come away with a penalty. They kept their backline intact, which is a big call, and that is a big scrum.
We've seen what Brisigella has in his feet. Can he put this deep into England's half? Certainly makes sure of that, and it's just about. Set piece opportunity for Italy.
And they haven't had many first phase goes, really. We'll have to see one of their first and potentially the last play of the game.
Taken at the back by the captain Botturi. And now they fly in, peeling off his Gasparini. Keeps the ball, didn't risk the offload. England's captain, Woodman, is trying to spoil. Still Italian ball, Brisigella. Now up for Simone. Onto the outside with Mirko Belloni. Tackling backwards from Elliott, and it was good. La Terza, the scrum half. Siciliano, the replacement hooker. Knocking on the door of England's 22 with just 2 points in it as the dying stages are upon us in Bedford.
Massive line speed coming in from England. They are flying off the line, which means if an offload is given, you're in danger of it being in behind you.
La Terza to Pontarini. England's defence is good again, but they're having to reorganise here. Brisigella stretching England on the left flank. And Belloni again. Lorenzo La Terza can't secure the ball, but his teammates do. Still with Italy. There goes La Terza. Gets the offload away. Taken on by Gallerini, the big under-20s man who's had a massive season for Italy. And he might be telling in these closing stages here in Bedford. England disciplined in defence so far, not giving away a penalty, because a kick on goal would of course be enough for Italy. Brisigella along the line. The gap is there for Italy. The line is beckoning. 3 metres short. England cover across. Siciliano again. Still Italy. The roll through. There's the line again. The arms are in the air. Italy have the try. And they'll have the win surely with it.
This is absolutely massive for the Italians. Just look at the faces, the emotion pouring out, rightly so. What a finish to this game. Draw it right back to that 40-metre line out. They had the power, they had the control. They kept that composure. The ball went from left to right. This is the final stages, back in Bedford corner. The slope is your friend here. They use it to their advantage. And once again, it's the big men getting over for Italy. Power personified from the Azzurri. This is potentially one of the biggest scores that they're going to have at this age group level. They'll take so much back to Italy. It's a bit of a one-off, but it's to be celebrated against an almighty, powerful England setup. A little bit of assonance in terms of the time on the clock, but my word, that is one fantastic way to finish. 14 men of Italy with a red card, 5 minutes in this second half. This is going to be right up there in one of their best performances.
What does Richard Gordon's clock say, and how much time will we have after this? It's Simone who goes and makes it all 7. Tommaso Simone with a stunning kick, 26 points to 21, and there's still time. Josh Bellamy needs to make this contestable. 26 points to 21. Can England reclaim this? Elliott goes up and does the job. And now it's the captain, Woodman. And now Italy on alert. They have the penalty. Surely the win from here.
And it's Baturi, the captain, stepping up when it matters most. What a turnover that was. Woodman with the carry, as he's done all game, takes it forward. But the wave was ridden quite brilliantly by that Italian pack. This ball's going to be hammered downfield. We assume there's going to be one chance left for England, with it now staying in. This is drama.
McParland and Bellamy, the under-18s, set their teammates off. McParland again. Bellamy, show and go. Swallowed up by Italy's defence. Now Makepeace Cubitt. Little gap spotted, the knock-on again. Italy with ball in hands. And no one knows how much time is left in Bedford. Do they keep playing? Lorenzo Laterza has the decision to make, the scrum half. He says, it's up to you with the forwards.
England have got to attack these breakdowns, try and get any chance of getting that ball back. Got to be legal, but they've got to attack it.
Gallerini again, safe hands to carry that forward, the tight head. Then again Boturi, this captain, has led Italy from the front throughout this match. Never more important than now. The under-20s did it last year in the Six Nations. Are the under-19s going to do it a year on and beat England? Running after this is Baloney. Bellamy taken in the air. England penalty. It's still not over. Here goes Elliott. Fights forward. England loading up on the left. Italy looking to scramble back and cover. And there is a buzz about Bedford now, trying to help these young English under-19s over the line again and steal this from the fire. Bellamy, England's fly half, waits for the ball. There's a penalty coming.
Well, in back play, 2 Italian players were down, which took them down to 12 players on their feet defending that last set. You'd think Elliott was about to get going, get his jet shoes out, and yet still somehow we're checking every single clock here in Bedford. There is time for one last play for this England 19s. We thought that Italy had a famed victory, but there is still an opportunity with a conversion pending that England can somehow come away from this game with a victory. Stoic from the Italians, but this is now England's opportunity to spoil the party.
James Isaac makes good with the line out. And now he has the ball tucked under his right arm. At the back, the man from Berkhamsted. Italy stifle the English maul. So now Tristan Woodman has to start things up again. The Lancashire captain of this England side. 4 metres away, McParland. Now Halliwell.
Nearer the post, the better.
Bellamy has a little bit of space here. It works along the line for England. Here it is for England. For Tobias Elliott, who always scores in English colours. And he's done it again.
We've got a feel for the Italian heart's been broken. Their players are lying all over the pitch, but this is character from this under-19s England team. They have been down, they have been beaten, they thought the game was over. Fast forward the clock, this is execution, high pressure, exactly where the ball needs to go, and anybody else you want on this team, the born finisher, does the somersault, 2 right. What a finish for England 19s, and it's Elliott, their most composed of finishers, to seal it, and it is all on now for this final kick. Sam Harris, this is your chance to step up.
He hasn't missed tonight, Sam Harris. Well, this will lift the roof off in Bedford. How does the home side follow this tomorrow in the Championship? Harris connects well. It hits the post and goes through. Perfect from the tee is Sam Harris, and England imperfect but winning at the end against Italy. (28-26) against 14-man Italy, who had done everything to steal this out of the fire, but England held their nerve and Sam Harris held his nerve.
That is quality from Harris, rightly enveloped by his players. Huge scenes at the end. Many people might contest it's not necessarily a victory of the highest celebratory standards, but it's still a victory. 14-man Italy, they're going to take the moral win, but England, under pressure when it mattered most, showed their worth, and that is vital in this continued pathway. Their development is what it's all about at this age, and in games like this is how you grow. That was a cracking spectacle. Not the best game all the way through, but it had every ingredient you'd want for a very proactive night here at Goldington Road.
Whoa. After 80 minutes of rugby, although there was a conundrum about that at half-time as well, but the clock was left running and England played it all the way through to the end. Tobias Elliott hadn't done all that much throughout the course of this match, but when England needed him, he came up with the restart. He then made another impactful run and then on hand to finish off. And don't the best finishers just do that? England, winners by 28 points to 26 over Italy at Goldington Road. The fourth ever encounter between these two on this patch of grass, and England have won it. Well, back to when the sun was still shining and Italy got off to a cracking start, didn't they, Rob? And Gasparini was here to drive through and exposed England's defensive frailties at the start.
A lot have been made about the back three of Italy in World Rugby, but it was their front three that really set standards in this game. Big, hard, strong runs right through the middle. And it's continued throughout the first half. England defensively not quite as they'd want to be, but Italy taking full advantage of that. Speculative kicking behind, the pace on show, as we knew was there from the English, but just seldom opportunity. Redshaw, Wills and Kurt, Elliott as well, threatening throughout the game. Hit of the day coming in from Woodman, as points were vitally lost.
Well, this was the story of so much of England's first half. Drop balls and almost moments. And it allowed Italy to get off to a cracking start and not just make it pay on the field, but it really felt like they were bossing England on their home turf. It was psychologically quite important. De Villiers to the fore, this man ending on a stretcher, and we wish him all the very best in his recovery. One of the moments of the day, regardless of whether it was forward or not.
Yeah, check the gram, that'll be on. Why not flick it inside? And that's that type of endeavour we saw from Italy, but this is equally matched by England. Lovely out the back, keeping that ball alive, and that was the hope that was needed in that first half to level it back up. Line out proving to be quite a fruitful outcome in the end. The offloading game, as we mentioned, this generation are going to grow up with, certainly with the tackle height changes coming into their careers. Harris in the thick of most things for England, but this was a cracking try. End to end, evading defenders, and Imberti will cherish that memory, no doubt for the rest of his life. What a cracker it was.
And not many people can outgas Tobias Elliott, and he did that. This was the riposte from England, and what a riposte it was.
Harris probing, ball back on the inside, not quite working, but when they got it right in that midfield, they looked dangerous. Thought Collard coming on made a difference. As did Bellamy. But it was the men up front again showing their size, and they certainly have got a lot of size. Wright went over. Harris almost in the same position as we saw that final moment. Kicks it straight through the sticks. And this is the set piece play. Lovely centre interplay, and it was tame, it was, that slice through the middle. Just look at Collard celebrating outside of him. This is about as good a first phase as you'll see. Woodman with the ball, tame with a finish.
The grandstand finish was just building at this point. England in control, and with a man up, you felt that this was going to be easy to see out for them, or relatively easy, but not a bit of it. Gallerini and co muscled into the try line. Stunning conversion as well, and then the showdown at the end.
Chance to seal it for Tame in exactly the same position, and then it came back to Italy. It felt like the end of the game was pending for about 25 minutes. And this is how close it came. We thought at this point it was going to be historical for Italy 19s over England 19s, as a score was given, but enough time then led to the restart, and the future was white. That's what it meant to them. Got the penalty, thought the game was over, missed touch. How vital was that on reflection? Ball kept alive. That should have been another red card after what we saw in the first instance of the second half, but little did it stop England going for it. They found that momentum. Bellamy eventually with the pullback across the red short, out to the impressive Elliott, and then it came down to the man with a 10 on the back. I think in hindsight a draw probably would have been fair, but that is punchy.
Story of the match. Thank you for joining us, and we don't know when we'll catch you again for under-19s action, but what a thrilling age group it is when you get under-18s mixing with under-20s, and the result, a 28 points to 26 victory for England over Italy. Thanks very much for joining us tonight at Goldington Road, and have a very good weekend.